Ancient Sister Miners, Unveiling the Secrets of Prehistoric Women Laborers. A startling discovery in the depths of the Krumlov Forest is rewriting what we thought we knew about prehistoric life, particularly regarding the role of women in ancient mining communities and their burial customs. But here's where it gets controversial. The unearthed remains suggest these women were not just passive figures, but active workers who endured grueling labor more than 6,000 years ago. Archaeologists have found the skeletons of 2 adult women and a newborn carefully buried in shaft number 4, part of one of Europe's largest known prehistoric chert mining areas. This rare find, tied to the late Lengel culture dating from approximately 4340 to 4050 BCE, opens an exceptional window into the tough realities and ritualistic traditions of Neolithic societies. What makes this burial especially fascinating is its ritualistic character. One woman's skeleton lay with a newborn gently placed on her chest, while a dog's skull and other bones were arranged in the vicinity. Clear signs that this was a symbolic, meaningful interment, rather than a simple grave. Radiocarbon dating places these remains in the transitional period between the Neolithic and Eneolithic, indicating a time of considerable cultural and technological change. Both women were relatively short, about 146 to 148 centimeters tall, and bore signs of malnutrition suffered during childhood. Yet their adult bones tell a story of hard physical labor. Pronounced muscle attachment marks and spinal injuries reveal that their lives involved intense physical strain. This discovery directly challenges the traditional view that prehistoric mining was male-dominated, or that women found at such sites were ritual sacrifices. Dr. Zdeněk Tvrdý, who led the analysis, points out the spinal damage and vertebral conditions these women had, such as Schmorl's nodes and spondylolysis, are consistent with heavy, repetitive physical work, likely involving forward bending typical of mining. Even more striking, one skeleton showed a badly healed forearm fracture that appears to have been poorly mended, implying that despite this serious injury, the woman continued her labor. This suggests these women were active miners, possibly compelled to work due to social factors or personal vulnerabilities. Genetic analysis offers further intriguing insights. The 2 adult women were probably sisters, but the newborn wasn't genetically related to either. Eye color predictions based on DNA reveal that one woman likely had green or hazel eyes, while the other probably had blue, details that helped create highly realistic 3D facial reconstructions. Strontium, carbon, and nitrogen isotope tests confirmed these women were local to the area and followed a diet unusually rich in protein compared to other nearby Neolithic communities, likely necessary to fuel their demanding work. Using advanced silicone-based 3D modeling, the research team reconstructed lifelike faces of these women, now displayed at the Moravian Museum in Brno's Anthropos Pavilion. Eva Vaničková, the lead reconstructive artist, explains. These models personalize history, putting a human face on people who lived under incredibly tough conditions thousands of years ago. The Krumlov Forest site, previously known mainly for chert mining used to craft stone tools, is now understood as far more than an industrial zone. Archaeologists suggest the burial shafts hint at a spiritual dimension, interpreting the mining area as a sacred place, possibly a symbolic entrance to the underworld. Martin Oliva, a key archaeologist on the project, states, "This wasn't just a workplace." The ritual burials might reflect complex beliefs, possibly ceremonies to honor the dead or the miners' connection to the earth. Despite extensive excavation work over nearly 30 years in this forest, discoveries like these continue to reshape our perception of prehistoric Europe's social and cultural landscapes. Were these women honored laborers, enslaved workers forced into mining, or symbolic sacrifices? Modern scientific methods and interdisciplinary collaboration are gradually peeling back the layers of history, letting us hear the voices of the distant past. Ongoing research, including advanced DNA sequencing and protein analysis, promises to add even more depth to this remarkable story. What do you think? Do these findings challenge our assumptions about gender and labor in ancient societies? Could the ritual elements hint at broader cultural meanings that we have yet to understand? Share your thoughts and join the conversation. Neolithic sisters revealed, 6,000-year-old faces unearthed through forensic forays. Imagine uncovering the faces of two sisters who lived over 6,000 years ago, revealing not just their physical features, but also the harsh realities of their existence in an ancient mining community. This remarkable story unfolds in the Krumlov Forest of South Moravia, Czech Republic, where advanced forensic techniques and archaeological studies have brought these women back to life through stunning 3D reconstructions. These lifelike representations not only showcase their appearances, but also shed light on a society that may have exploited its most vulnerable members. The remains of these sisters were unearthed more than 15 years ago during excavations at a Neolithic chert, flint mine, specifically in Pit 4. One of many such sites known for prehistoric mining activities spanning from the Mesolithic to the Iron Age. The burial site revealed true adult females laid one on top of the other, with the older sister cradling a newborn baby against her chest. Nearby, the skeletal remains of a small dog were also found. Researchers believe these women were likely sisters, interred in the very mine where they had toiled, as detailed in a study published in the journal Archaeological and Anthropological Sciences. Dr. Martin Oliva, an archaeologist affiliated with the Moravian Museum and a co-author of the research, explained to Live Science that the positioning of the graves within the mine suggests that these women were laborers there. The mine might have held spiritual significance as well, possibly serving as a sacred site linked to ancestral or sacrificial practices, according to the researchers' insights. A thorough analysis involving radiocarbon dating, genetic testing, isotopic studies, and examinations of the bones paints a stark picture of the physical hardships endured by these women. Estimated to be between 30 and 40 years old, they stood approximately 1.48 and 1.46 meters tall, around 4.8 feet, and displayed clear signs of extensive labor. Their skeletal remains showed worn vertebrae, early signs of arthritis, herniated discs, and partially healed fractures, one notably on the older sister's forearm, indicating that they continued to work despite significant injuries. Interestingly, isotopic analysis of nitrogen and carbon levels revealed that although the sisters experienced malnutrition and illness during their childhood, they had access to a high-meat diet in adulthood. This is particularly unusual for European Neolithic populations and may suggest that they had better access to wild game in the densely forested area, or that they adopted a nutritional strategy to support their demanding labor. DNA analysis confirmed their sibling relationship and even provided insights into their physical traits. The younger sister likely had dark hair and green or hazel eyes, while the older sister may have had blue eyes and blonde hair. These characteristics were instrumental in creating the realistic facial reconstructions, which are currently displayed at the Moravia Museum in Brno. The reconstructions were crafted using materials such as plaster, silicone, prosthetic eyes, and implanted hair, taking advantage of the well-preserved skulls that allowed for detailed modeling. The reconstructions also feature clothing inspired by archaeological textile finds from the Neolithic era. made entirely from plant fibers like flax and nettles. The older sister is depicted wearing a simple blouse and a plant fiber wrap, along with a hairnet, while the younger sister is shown in a linen blouse adorned with braided fabric strips woven into her hair. However, several questions linger. The infant buried with them was genetically unrelated to either woman, and the positioning of the dog's remains raises further inquiries about the burial practices. Scientists have not dismissed the possibility that the women and the infant could have been victims of ritual sacrifice or symbolic offerings to the earth, as mining shafts may have held spiritual significance for Neolithic communities. In a broader social context, the authors of the study suggest that this discovery points to a potential reorganization of labor during the Neolithic period. They argue that as hierarchical societies began to form, the most arduous tasks may not have been performed by the strongest individuals, but rather by those who were most easily compelled to work. This observation hints at the possibility that even in early agricultural societies, labor distribution may have been unequal, potentially influenced by factors such as gender, age, or social standing. What do you think about the implications of this discovery? Could it change our understanding of social structures in ancient societies? Join the conversation and share your thoughts. Hyperrealistic 3D reconstructions of Stone Age sisters who worked in brutal Czech mine. Imagine uncovering the lives of two sisters who toiled in a harsh mining community over 6,000 years ago in what is now the Czech Republic. Researchers have recently revealed incredibly detailed, hyper-realistic reconstructions of these adult sisters, shedding light on their challenging existence in a prehistoric world. These remarkable 3D models are the result of a fresh analysis of the sisters' remains, which were discovered more than 15 years ago in a prehistoric chert mine located in the South Moravian region. New findings indicate that these sisters were not just inhabitants of the area. They actively participated in the grueling work of extracting heavy stones used for crafting tools and weapons. The findings were published on June 18th in the journal Archaeological and Anthropological Sciences. .org.10.007.S12520-02551-1. The burial site of the sisters is particularly intriguing. They were interred one atop the other within a mining shaft, with the younger sister's skeleton found 20 feet, 6 meters, below the surface, while the older sister's remains were located just 3 feet, 1 meter beneath her. According to Martin Oliva, an archaeologist at the Moravian Museum and co-author of the study, their burial in this location likely indicates their connection to the mine's labor force. Interestingly, the analysis of the skeletons revealed no evidence of violent death or disease. However, Oliva speculated that it remains a possibility that the sisters were sacrificed or perhaps laid to rest when they could no longer contribute to the labor due to injuries. This raises a thought-provoking question. Were they victims of a society that exploited its most vulnerable members? The burial site holds several enigmatic elements that continue to baffle researchers. Among the discoveries was a small dog whose skull was found near the younger sister, while other bones were located near the older sibling. Even more puzzling was the presence of a newborn baby whose remains were found resting on the chest of the older sister. Yet genetic testing revealed no familial connection to either woman. Oliva remarked, "The child was whole, but not theirs, and there were only a few dog bones." We really cannot know why these individuals were buried together, even with the new results. The sisters' challenging upbringing and laborious lives have been further illuminated by previous research, which established their sibling relationship and dated their existence to between 4050 and 4340 BC. This was achieved through radiocarbon dating. https://scientists-dating-methods.html. To gain a deeper understanding of their lives in this prehistoric mining community, the researchers conducted a series of analyses, including genetic testing, microscopic examinations of their teeth, and comprehensive pathological assessments of their skeletons. They also measured various isotopes of carbon and nitrogen to uncover details about their diet. The results paint a vivid picture. While the sisters were well-nourished and robust in adulthood, their childhood was marked by malnutrition, weakness, and disease. Their skeletons exhibited signs of significant physical strain, including damaged vertebrae and partially healed injuries. Notably, the older sister had a forearm fracture that had not fully healed, suggesting she was compelled to work despite her injury. The timing of their lives coincides with the emergence of a new social hierarchy, where the most vulnerable individuals were often exploited. The researchers noted, the hardest labor may no longer have been performed by the strongest, but rather by those who could be most easily coerced into it. According to the study, the younger sister was estimated to be between 30 and 35 years old at the time of her death, while the older sister likely lived to be around 40. Both women stood approximately 4.8 feet, 1.5 meters tall, slender yet capable of lifting heavy loads. Their diet appeared to include more meat than was typical for that era in Europe, although it remains unclear whether this was due to their demanding labor or the rich wildlife available in the densely forested region of South Moravia. Genetic analysis revealed intriguing details about their physical appearance. The younger sister likely had hazel or green eyes and dark hair, while the older sister probably had blue eyes and blonde hair. The reconstructions not only depict these features but also suggest the types of clothing the sisters may have worn, based on textile remnants found across Europe from the same period. These 3D models, crafted from plaster and silicone, include eye prosthetics and hair implants, with the head shapes accurately reflecting the well-preserved dimensions of their skulls. The researchers noted, fabrics preserved from the Neolithic period show that only plant fibers were used for textile production, such as flax, bark fiber, and nettles. The older sister was dressed in a simple blouse with a wrap made from the same plant materials, and her hair was secured with a hairnet. The younger sister wore a blouse made of coarser linen canvas with strips of fabric braided into her hair. This fascinating glimpse into the lives of these Stone Age sisters not only highlights their struggles, but also invites us to reflect on the broader implications of their existence. What does their story tell us about the social dynamics of prehistoric communities? How do we reconcile the evidence of their labor with the mystery surrounding their burial? We encourage you to share your thoughts and insights in the comments below.